It's been a bit more than a year since I originally reviewed the Proof of Identity project Idena and shared how you can get your share of the cryptocurrency iDNA by simply taking part in the recurring validation events that take place every couple of weeks right now. And today it's time to share an important update about the project with you that directly affects how much you can earn with each validation. But before we get to that, as always, let's get the usual disclaimer out of the way first. Everything I share in this video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions and make your own decisions. Besides that, I have to point out that the Idena project provided me with 2,000 iDNA, so around $40 worth of iDNA for the purpose of creating this video, which makes this video sponsored by Idena. My name is Rauchenwald and today we are going to take a closer look at Idena's so-called quadratic staking, Idena's way to incentivize the lockup of iDNA and to get more users to run the Idena Node app instead of just using the web app to further improve the decentralization of the entire Idena blockchain. Unlike most other forms of staking, there are a few unique aspects to Idena's quadratic staking that you should consider. To understand all of them, let's take a quick look at Idena's staking calculator that shows you an estimate of how much in rewards you can expect depending on your staked amount. For that purpose, let's bring up the example of staking 100 iDNA on the left and staking 1 million iDNA on the right. There are two important things worth mentioning that you might notice on your own already by looking at the two different estimates. First, the total reward you can receive by staking your iDNA is split up into two different parts, the staking reward and the mining reward. The staking reward is the portion you get for staking if you participate in the next validation event and pass the validation without having any of your flips reported. The mining reward, on the other hand, is the reward you get on your locked up iDNA if you participate and pass the validation, even if some of your flips got reported, but only if you also ran the Idena Node app for the entire epoch, so for the entire time since the previous validation event. If you didn't run a node at all, you wouldn't get that part at all, and if you only ran the node about 50% of the time between the validations, you'd also only receive a roughly 50% portion of that specific part of the quadratic staking rewards. Besides that difference, you might also notice that the overall APY for a smaller stake of only 100 iDNA with 303% is much higher than the APY offered for staking 1 million iDNA with only, in quotes, 24.2%. Now all of that is already a lot of information to take in about the quadratic staking and all these special things to consider, so let's break it down further. First, the separation of potential rewards in Idena's quadratic staking into mining rewards that you only receive if you're also running a node and staking rewards that you only get when you also pass the next validation without getting any of your flips reported. As you might have noticed on the two examples, that separation isn't static but also varies depending on how much you actually stake. Lower stakes receive a bigger portion of their overall rewards in mining rewards, which again requires you to run the Idena Node app between validations if you want to receive all of those rewards, while staking higher amounts starts to shift the rewards more towards staking rewards, meaning that you'll get more from passing the validation without getting your flips reported. This is done in order to incentivize more users to run their own Idena Node app, which you can, by the way, download by following the link in the description down below, and then either run the node 24/7 if your PC is anyways already running 24/7 to get the entire staking rewards portion after each validation as well, or you just run it whenever you're using the computer to at least receive a portion of those rewards at the end of each validation. Second, as mentioned, the overall APY of Idena's quadratic staking decreases the more you stake, which is something relatively unique and is meant to make Idena more attractive for new users and those that can't or don't want to buy a lot of Idena, because it makes it easier for them to grow their iDNA balance in the beginning, at least if they are also running the Idena Node app, since again, for lower staking amounts, the bigger portion of the quadratic staking rewards is the mining rewards portion. Besides all of that, there's also another very important difference between Idena's quadratic staking and regular staking offers you might know from other platforms. While most staking offers out there require you to lock up your funds for a certain period of time, Idena's quadratic staking is an almost permanent lockup of your iDNA, and the only way to remove your iDNA staking is to terminate your identity. Now, while that may sound bad, since nobody likes to hear that their funds can't be withdrawn, it is actually a good thing because it provides an additional incentive for users to stick with the project and attend the recurring validations, while at the same time semi-permanently removing the staked iDNA from the circulating supply, and with that helping to fight the inflation that otherwise would happen in the project. And as said earlier, if you really would like to leave the project behind, you could simply terminate your Idena identity once it reaches the verified or human status, and with that also get the staked funds back. With all of that out of the way, let's now quickly cover how you can actually stake your iDNA before I share my personal verdict about Idena's quadratic staking. First, you need an identity with Idena to participate in the ongoing validation events, but since I covered the exact steps for that already in my original Idena review, I'm not going to show that part here in this video again. You can simply click on the card up here to check out my original video and follow the steps shown there at around the 15-minute mark. Once you have your Idena identity, as mentioned, you have to participate in the recurring validation events that are at the moment roughly every 4 weeks, and that usually will take up around 15 minutes of your time. During those validation events, you have to solve so-called flips, which again is something I already covered in detail in my original video at around the 5-minute mark. Assuming that you pass the validation, which honestly shouldn't be too hard, your identity, which starts out on the candidate level, will make its way slowly towards the human level. And once you passed your first validation and with that reach the newbie level, 20% of your validation rewards are automatically staked, but you'll get the option to stake more, either by just adding the rewards you earned to the staking or by buying iDNA on any of the supported exchanges mentioned in the description down below. After each validation, it's then your turn to create 3 to 5 so-called flips as well before the next validation and to show up for the next validation. Then just rinse and repeat to earn more iDNA to either increase your stake or exchange them after each validation event that you pass. Now, to stake your iDNA, you simply have to select the My Idena section in your Idena Node app or the Idena web app and click on the Add Stake button or text link at the bottom. Enter how much exactly you would like to stake, confirm that you are aware that you can only withdraw your stake if or when you terminate your identity, and finally press the Add Stake button. As mentioned before, the rewards for staking that you receive then after each validation are, however, only paid to validated identities, meaning that if you staked iDNA and miss or fail the next validation, you not only won't get the staking reward, but depending on your current identity status and age, so the number of validations that happen since you created your Idena identity, some or all of your staked iDNA also might get burned. You can find a link down in the description below that shows exactly how much that would be, but to be honest, it shouldn't be too hard to participate in all validations and not worry about that at all. After all, as mentioned, the validation events right now only happen every couple of weeks, and if you mark them in advance in your calendar and set yourself a reminder on your phone, you should have no problem to attend them all to get your share of iDNA, try to increase your staking further, or to exchange for other crypto or fiat. And that's pretty much it. Personally, I have to say I like the effort Idena is constantly putting into potential improvements of the project to make it more attractive to users and ensure rewards are distributed in a fair way. I really like the fact that the overall APY users can get from Idena's quadratic staking is higher for users with smaller amounts locked up and basically discriminates on purpose against the in quotes whales that can stake more. One could argue about the distribution of staking and mining rewards that requires users to run a node to receive the full rewards, but considering that one of the core ideas of quadratic staking is to offer a decent incentive for more users to run the Idena node, it's also something that makes sense and should benefit the project overall. In the end, you'll have to decide for yourself whether you can and want to run a node yourself and judge if it's worth it for you based on Idena's staking calculator that you can also find down in the description below. Anyways, that's it for today. If you have further questions, I would recommend that you start by taking a look at Idena's FAQ that you can also find linked down in the description below, since it already has answers to most questions. And besides that, you can also obviously, as always, just leave your comments down in the comment section below or join our Discord community and ask me and the community there. As always, thanks for watching. See you in one of my other videos. Till then, bye bye.